prolific, so gifted. I'm the type that's gon' go get it, no kidding. Breaking down a switch in front of your building. Sitting on the steps, feeling no feelings. Last night it was a cold killing. You gotta keep the devil in his hole, nigga. But you know how it go, nigga. I'm front line every time it's on, nigga. 100 proof flow, running shoot pro. 458 drop, playing bulletproof soul. Every few shows I just buy some new gold. Circle got smaller, everybody can't go. Downtown Diamond District, jewelers like yo. Hustle, holla at me, I got Cubans.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Firm Podcast. You already know you got Charles in the building. We got Nick. What's going on, Nick?
What's up, everybody? What's going on?
And listen, y'all, I've been on hiatus for a minute, but I'm back for another episode, man. I'm back in the studio. Feels good and amazing to be here, and trust me, we got some content on deck for you today. All right, so listen, without further ado, we just gonna jump right into this thing. You ready?
Yeah, bro, we good. I know you've been on dad duty, man.
Hey, man, listen.
Nah, but hold on, let's do this, though.
Let's
do this. We ain't do this because we've been talking about this for a minute.
Okay, all right, let's go.
I got a little curveball for you.
Okay.
You know, we rock with I Am Athlete Real Tough.
Okay.
I do that mental check-in. So give me that personal,
okay,
business, and I guess we'll do personal business and probably what family side. What's the usual ones they hit?
Yeah, that's about right. I think they do personal, yeah, and the mental health and the business. So
let's do those personal, mental, and business. Then let's do them.
All right, okay.
Scale of 1 to 10.
So Nick hit me with a curveball just then. I ain't gonna even lie to y'all, but the reality is let's go ahead and go with that. I'm gonna say personal, and I'm gonna just go ahead and put the personal and kind of the family in the same space because that's where I've been at. I'm gonna say maybe a 5 or 6.
Oh man, okay.
You know what I mean? And with that, I don't necessarily want to stir up a cause for concern, but I've been in a place of seeking understanding.
That's a good thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say 5 or 6 with that. Business wise, I'm gonna equate business to both my day job and what I got going on. I'm gonna say a healthy 8. Like I got a good handle on it. Great opportunity to expand and take another step, but it's a decent handle on that. But I think for me, it's gonna be the personal / family is where, even in the dad duty space, even in some things that need to be taken care of in life, that's kind of where I'm a little less than what you would call game ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I say cause for concern, I think the reality is I'm on a step to improve and get back to a good level. But I definitely took a few punches. I definitely took a few hits. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's an honest look. Yeah, you definitely hit me with a curveball.
Now, what about the mental though? You ain't covered the mental.
So I think mentally, let me do this in a 2 kind of phase. I'm gonna say where I was and where I am. So a combination of, as a man, right, in your role in the family, anytime you kind of take what looks like a blow or a step back from that family space, or if you take a hit to what perceives to be your role, then personally, I think that probably dropped me down. I'm gonna just say a 4 for a while. You know what I mean? And that's a low number on the scale. But at the end of the day, a lot of who I am is involved in my role as a husband, as a father, as a provider.
Yeah.
So anytime my role dealing as it pertains to my family is less than, anytime it takes a bit of a hit or is tested, personally, that does something to me. So, yeah, I'm going to say I was a 4 for a while, but let me say where I am now. I think now I would say 7. You know what I mean? And I think that, again, it really kind of segues into today's episode. And so I'm kind of glad you threw the curveball because I'll when we come back after you check us in and let us know where you are, I think I can really kind of say how we even ended up in the episode.
Yeah.
So what about you? What levels? Where you at?
I'm gonna start business. Business, business I'm good work side. I've been on 2 week vacation, so you know what I'm saying, just chilling out for 2 weeks, just kind of laying low, being able to pick kids up from school,
Yeah.
spend time, kind of do some different activities, whether it be get outside and play,
Yeah.
whether it be pop up by the lake, just connect for, just doing something real chill. I think being able to do that has been different for me because a lot of times you know how it is, bro. We getting off late, we're hustling, bustling, trying to do everything to get them in bed by a certain time.
Yeah.
At this particular space, I didn't have to do that. I mean, I kind of got the day to myself.
That's
So I
right.
took care of some things around the house, were able just to relax, man. Didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
But just kind of moving at my own pace. Um, so that's been good. Other business, which is this business, well, I think if I had to rate it on a scale, well, I'm gonna say work wise, I gave it a 10 because I didn't really have to do nothing. But podcast wise, I'm gonna say about a 6 because we got things, you know what I'm saying, that we got to handle to do. But I'm just pleased. But I say 6 because I'm hard on us because I think what we're doing is life changing and just definitely putting us in a space to where we can just truly improve on that because we're inspiring people, we're motivating people, which like we talked earlier this week, that means a lot to me because I never downplayed the impact of how we change people's lives through our conversations and through our transparency. So for me, I'm at a 6, but I know we got some other things that we have to, tackle. But I'm excited, man. Like when I tell you I get excited about this, I get excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I truly do. And excited is not even a strong enough word to describe how I feel about what we're doing. But again, I feel like this is the calling, but I just ranked it as a 6 with, but still a good 6. It ain't a bad 6.
That's good. Yeah.
Man, what's the other one? Mental. I'm gonna go mental first. Mental, I'm about an 8, man. Like I've been listening like King Disease 2 all week. And Nas has a piece to where he's like, man, Nas is good. And that was my mindset, like, man, Nick is good. You know what I'm saying? Like Nick is good. That's all I kept telling myself, like, man, Nick is good. Because mentally, I've just kind of, same things we talked about offline. I've just only focused on things that I can control.
Yeah.
And I think at this space too, I'm doing a lot of studying, a lot of reading, trying to become more disciplined in certain areas. So mentally, I'm good, man. And I just thank God I think I'm truly thanking God for the people that's in my life, bro.
Thanks.
You know what I'm saying? The people that's encouraging me, that's motivating me, that's helping me through things and just through life in general.
Yeah.
So learning and being at a place to where I want to learn more. So mentally, I think I'm really good. Personally / family, everybody's good, man. Everybody's good. If I had to pick it, I would say personally / family, and even a little mental, peace.
Peace.
You know what I'm saying? Peace.
Peace.
Really at a good space of peace, bro. Really
That's
at a
a good
good
word.
space of peace, man. And
Yeah.
just starting to really feel like you becoming you getting you. You know what I'm saying? You becoming back to you. But kids are good, family's good, mom is good, so pops is good. I can't complain.
Yeah.
So I think personal wise, still probably throwing about an 8 because it's always level to improve.
Yeah.
But I'm good.
That's fair.
But I'm good.
That's fair.
But overall, bro, I know I threw you a curveball, but I think it's good to check in. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then, I think we do need to do that piece. Cause I even like when they do it on I Am Athlete because I think it just gives you a chance to sometimes talk about that thing, and people don't see too. We real people. We have real lives. We have real issues. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't always good, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
Man, listen, let me tell you something. So that right there is really a good. That was definitely a good curveball. But what I'm gonna do is in this moment, I'm gonna give a shout out to my wife, right? Because one of the things that she's really, really consistent on, and one of the things that she's amazing about is she'll say, "What you do at work today?" But she'll lead into how was your day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's her way of checking in because she'll always say, like, even when, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Things ain't always peachy keen. We ain't always at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
But she'll say, we all right, right? We good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We good, right? And so, I just got to give a shout out because checking in on people you truly care about is that's an important thing to do.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a good curveball. But so it really segues us into today's episode, right? And today's episode comes from a really authentic place. It comes from a series of events that have reveal themselves that we've gone through in our life.
Yeah.
And so today we just kind of like in the space of stress test. And I think the best way I can kind of explain this episode or explain the topic and how we even got here, right, is you think about any material. People design these certain materials, and then these materials are amazing. So when the people designed rubber, a rubber was amazing.
Yeah.
But then they had to heat it up really, really high at a really high temperature, and they had to cool it down at a really, really low temperature to determine how much could this rubber really take.
Yeah.
And so the same thing is true about relationships and people.
Yeah.
No matter what the medium is, no matter if we're business partners, no matter if we're in a personal relationship or romantic relationship, no matter if we're friends, colleagues, coworkers, roommates, whatever the case may be, if we have some type of connection between one another, a stress test will come, right? And it's kind of what happens when that thing unfolds and when it reveals itself. So ultimately, right, just getting straight into it, when you think about relationships, when you think about the space that people exist in, what happens when shit hit the fan? I think that's ultimately the question. What happens when it hits the fan?
I always think when shit hit the fan, it exposes character.
Yeah.
Because like we say all the time, like it's easy to deal with things when you're in a comfortable space.
Yeah.
When shit hit the fans, you kind of see what side you standing on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, when shit hit the fans, I think you have to lock in that space.
Yeah.
Now it comes like, okay, now we got to revert back to the core and the foundation. Because I guess, I'm not gonna say it's being attacked, but it is somewhat being attacked. So at that moment of being attacked, you have to come together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To defeat whatever it is you're going through or to address whatever it is you're going through.
That's true.
You know, so that's what I say when shit hit the fan. I think you just have to, you got to refocus for one, and you got to lock in on what we gonna do.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I got an interesting outlook on this particular piece because it's something that I've learned about. So me and you, we always had these conversations offline, and I think it's fair, and we would be doing the people a disjustice if we didn't talk about how spiritual we are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say spirit. I'm gonna start right there, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you and I are both on a constant journey to continue to reach new levels.
Yeah.
And I think in spiritual understanding, there's something to be said about believing you have to control everything. And so when I say believing you have to control everything, sometimes if you really and truly believe that the Most High is in control, sometimes the best thing you can do is get out of the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if we think about any of the worst situations we've ever been in, they've always worked themselves out. If we think about being in the heat of the moment in the worst situations we've been in, we can look back on most of these things now and say they've worked themselves out.
Yeah.
And it's not that they worked themselves out, it's that universally or in spiritual concepts, these things have worked out how they were supposed to work out. So ultimately, when I think about when stuff hits the fan, I think that there's an impulse in us that says, go handle it this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's also a certain level of understanding that says these things are gonna work out how they intended to work out. And sometimes you getting in the way can distort that more than anything.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I think to your same point, ultimately, you get an opportunity to see how other people will respond, and you get to see most importantly, like me, I'm always in a space of how did I do? You know what I'm saying? Because I know I'm the only thing that ultimately I can control.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I get an opportunity to have a reflection type of experience to say, nah, this was wrong. This is how you did this. This was wrong. You should have did it this way. Like you say, this is your level of growth, but ultimately, this was the pop quiz. You might have been through lesson, and everything is sweet when the lesson is being taught. Yeah. But what happens when the quiz come out? What happens on test day? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing that we got to really and truly measure. It's just like in our class. We can go through the curriculum all day long, and the teacher can teach. But what happens on pop quiz? What happens on test day? What happens when we write that paper? Do we really and truly understand?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that I love about our experiences in this physical space and in life. Like, we get an opportunity simply to just say, how did I do? How did I measure up? So for me, that's what happens when it hits the fan. When shit hits the fan, you get an opportunity to reflect and say, how did I measure up? I ain't do so good. Okay, this is what I need to do before moving along.
But see, even when you talk about that space, though, when stuff hit the fans too, you got to do a self-evaluation.
Facts.
And that's the main thing you touched on, like self-evaluation.
Absolutely.
And you have to look at every opportunity as a learning experience.
Absolutely.
How do I grow from this? How do I be better from this? But then truly being able to do a self-awareness test to say, I handled this correct or I didn't handle this correct.
Yeah.
What could I have done differently?
Yeah.
And then two, even like me and you talk, because we dealt with some things offline. You go and you say, man, I see this.
Yeah.
Damn, that's facts. I see that.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it this way. So I think being at a space to where you want to, again, growth, you want to be better. Part of being better, that even that journey of when stuff hit the fan, is acknowledging you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But then two, talking through those wrongs, just understanding again, what could I have done differently? Not really trying to point fingers, but okay, what could I have done different? Like you said again, things that I can control. What could I do better?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Really looking at yourself, like a really deep dive at oneself.
Yeah.
To state, hey, if I'd have did this, this probably would turn this. I see why they thought this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so that carries us into really, we jump around a little bit. That really carries us to in the space of the dangers involved of assuming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me and you talked about this. We talked about this in depth a couple of times. But if you think about rap beefs, if you think about beefs between people that have done business together, if you think about relationships,
you think about
people get into this space of assuming what the other person was thinking, assuming what they meant, assuming their intent.
Yeah, but you think about that,
and they just carry that.
Even with us though, and just as being honest and transparent.
Yeah.
When me and you chopped it up last week, you know what I'm saying? We met for breakfast. And we talked through some things like men. You had I had my assumption about something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And my assumption drove me to think what I was thinking, because I'm like, okay, I assumed this.
Yeah.
You had your own thoughts.
Yeah.
Your thoughts had you to do some things. But as men, we didn't do a great job of addressing that, coming together.
We didn't do what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, you had your thoughts, I had mine. And we left them over here. And then the worst thing you can do in that space is put time in that space.
Yeah.
Because time allows, one thing people don't understand too, within time when things are unresolved, resentment starts to grow. You know what I'm saying? Because you thinking like, well, why ain't this happen? Why ain't that happen? So now, I'm now truly, my thoughts are now growing, thinking like, yeah, it's just what I think it is. And never once do you say, let me talk to this brother, or let me reach out to him and see what it is. Because a lot of times we never get to the place of the point, even with us. We had to sit down and say, hey man, this is what it is, bro. Let's put this out on the table. And then to understand, like, okay, that's a problem.
Yeah.
This is a problem. How do we fix this problem? And then me telling you, this is how I felt. And you saying, damn, bro, I didn't know you. Damn, I can see that. And you saying this, and I'm like, oh, damn, shit, I can see that. Because we both were, again, doing what men do sometimes.
Yeah, our flaw, one of our flaws. Yeah, we lived in the assumptions.
Yeah.
We definitely lived in it. And ultimately, I mean, it's a dangerous thing to do, because to your point, the longer we let it go on, the longer we let it linger, like you said, whatever I believe, time only strengthens my belief.
Yeah, it waters my belief. It's like a flower. It's like it waters that
flower. It waters my flower. It grows.
You
know what I mean? If we don't disturb that, or if we don't seek clarity, I think, because I'm just being 1,000, right? We've been on this space kind of our journey, right? Even before we came on set. So ultimately, we can bring all this back. It's a reason we started that conversation. It's a reason we had it in kind of that frame of space. If we don't seek clarity, we can kind of live in this place of discord, live in this place of uncertainty forever.
Yeah.
So ultimately, we got to seek clarity around all things. You know what I mean? We just got to be able to have that conversation. And so that ultimately is a lesson for everybody. That's a lesson right there to be shared. Don't just assume.
Yeah.
Ask those questions.
But the other lesson too is, in times of misunderstandings, confusion, whatever you want to call it, come closer.
Communicate.
And communicate.
Yeah.
This here, separating yourself does not do that. Even when you communicate and say, hey, bro, I need some time.
Mm-hmm.
You communicate, let the person know, hey, I'm I guess, digesting this, I'm taking it in, I'm working through it. But I won't let you know, I acknowledge you.
Yeah.
But I'm working through this. So now you kind of put the other person's mind at ease because of, okay, he or she's acknowledged my, I guess, request. They haven't blown me off. And so again, it's communicating and coming closer.
Yeah.
Or creating an environment where you can come closer.
Yeah. Most definitely. So ultimately that begs the question, right? Is it necessary for all relationships to be stress tests? Is it necessary for all relationships for something to hit the fan? Right? And I can jump out there with this because I'm gonna just say that I believe it is necessary. I believe that it's necessary to see what does our work through process look like. And that's business, that's co-workers, that's friends, that's siblings, that's romantic relationships.
Yeah.
You ultimately, and this is my belief, and this is where I just have to live with this. You ultimately can't be in a relationship with somebody without ever hitting the rocks.
Yeah.
Because if you never hit the rocks, you're not truly living in life.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's in any relationship.
Right.
But that's especially in relationships that require a lot of time, business, romantic. If you never hit the rocks, you really can't truly you never can really truly hit that stride. So I'm gonna jump out there and say it's absolutely necessary for you to be stress tested.
Yeah. See, I'm with you because I think this even in any type of relationship, like you just named all different type of relationships. You don't know nothing until you've been through almost everything.
That's a fact.
I got to see how you react when I back up against the wall.
That's a fact.
I gotta see how you react when we're at our highest point, our best place.
Yeah.
To know kind of who I'm dealing with, because it's easy to be good when everything is good. What do you do when it's comfortable? When it's uncomfortable? Are you with me or are you against me? You know what I'm saying? Like I have to see that space.
Yeah.
And I think through that space helps me understand who I'm here with.
Facts.
And I want to know that when we're in the trenches, okay, you got me. Okay, we're gonna lock in and we're gonna focus on whatever task is at hand to accomplish this or to get past this. So I think you have to be tested to truly understand. I know some people probably beg to differ because they may say, hey, a relationship don't have to be tested. But how do you know who you in the fight with if it ain't never been tested?
But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna take that a step further, right? Because the interesting thing, and this is a thought that came to me before, we were talking about the framework of the episode. We talk about the 5 love languages only in the context of romantic relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
But the reality is that applies to a number of different relationships.
Yeah.
Because some people, when they're in the trenches, need people to respect their space and allow them to work through.
Yeah.
Other people need, when we in the trenches, I need to know that you right there. I need back against back to know that you firing your gun that way while I fire mine this way.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that also creates a level of conversation to say, well, damn, you know what I mean? Let me understand this person. Let me understand my part. Let me understand when they in the foxhole what they need. Some people like being in the foxhole as a sniper.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Some people like say, hey, you know what? I ain't going to put this on you. I'm going to go ahead and knock stuff down so it don't even get to you.
Yeah.
And some people like being in the foxhole as the infantryman. Hey, we battle buddy, we side by side, and we're gonna spray and pray out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you think about the concept of the love languages, understanding people, understanding the levels of communication, understand how they receive things, I think it's really, really important that not only are we testing these relationships, but we're also having those necessary conversations on the forehand about really seeking to understand each other, which ultimately is why I say it's really important for relationships to have those points, because we further understand, okay, I know my partner like this. My partner want me to ride. He want me hanging out the back of the 6'4", ready to do what we got to do. You know what I'm saying?
But you have to, I think, again, communication is king.
Absolutely.
And you have to let them know, bro, because I think to be a better partner in whatever space you're in, you got to know who you're dealing with. And you got to know what they expect from you.
Right.
Because if I know, hey, man, Charles is this type, or even my mate is this type,
yeah,
I have to know, that helps me better understand how to aid them in this time of need.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Because I could, and it's not, and one thing too, we have to remove ourselves because sometimes we get selfish. Well, this is what I need. No, what does my partner need?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in this with somebody, whether it be like, again, in business or in personal. I have to understand, okay, if I'm communicating with Charles, I get a better product from Charles if I communicate in this manner. Or Charles needs this from me.
Right.
But part of that too is communicating.
Say it.
You got to communicate and let me know because sometimes I only know what I know. And I'm going to act on what I know. And sometimes maybe what I think. And that may not be the right thing when the simple thing is just to tell me, hey, bro, what you need from me? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, and communicating in difficult times.
That's a
fact. We have to do that, bro. Yeah. Because, again, sometimes we'll be walking around here with expectations of somebody that we ain't never even told them we had. And that ain't even fair. That's not even fair.
Yeah.
To have expectations of somebody that you never even shared with them. Now, once I share it with you,
it's a different ballgame.
It's a different ballgame because you know what I expect. And so now I got some problem now because I've shared it with you. And I'm wondering now, like, do you even care?
Do you value me enough to take into account what I've shared with you? Like, nah, that's a you know what, that's a valid statement, man. I don't know why. You know, I don't know. I kind of think sometimes I got a comedic brain. The first thing I thought about is, I'm just being honest. I'm just thinking like, you know, somebody around here expecting a wife, but you ain't told her you expecting a wife. Yeah. And vice versa. You know, somebody around here dealing with somebody expecting a husband and the actions of a husband, and you ain't never told this person you expecting them to be a husband.
Yeah, that's fact.
You know what I mean? So in their frame of mind, we kicking it.
Yeah.
You ain't told him you expect.
But too many times too, we operate in the gray area.
We operate in the gray area, boy. That's a fact, right? That's a book.
We do. We operate in the gray area.
That's a book. Yeah.
Instead of saying, what are your expectations?
And there's nothing wrong with that. In actuality, that's the framework of real and true communication and relationship building. Yeah. It's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, what do you expect? What are we working towards?
Yeah.
That's, you know what, we often talk about missing the red flags or the conversations we don't have. Yeah. That's a really key framework right there. We don't talk about what do we expect? What is it you hopes happens out of this particular path or this relationship that we're building? What is the expectation? That's the thing we miss.
We do. But we miss it because, again, we roll on our own understanding.
Yeah.
And we don't really, again, you know, we don't create that environment for that conversation.
Yeah.
And it goes back into what we even talking about offline, being in a space to where you just really create and acknowledge the difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Because we can always have the easy conversation. And the older I've gotten, I appreciate, and my goal now is to create an environment where I welcome the difficult conversation more than the easy conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because through the difficult conversation comes the change. And you got to get out your own damn feelings when you're in a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Because if I'm truly, whether that be parenting, again, romantically, business, whatever it is, I got to get out my feelings and truly heal. If it's me and you talking about this podcast, and you telling me something difficult, hey, Nick, I don't like when you do this or whatever, I got to be in a place to receive that. And I say, okay, Charles, I understand that. And I can't really blast you or go off on you because, again, I want you to express how you feel, because by you expressing how you feel, that's where the change comes. Because you share the difficult conversation. But two, I've made you feel comfortable enough to share that. And I think even when you're talking about a parenting space, I remember a pastor saying before, like, even create an environment with your children to where they can come tell you anything. Even if it hurts your feelings, bro. I may go cry in the car.
Yeah.
But I think, again, creating a space to where you have the difficult conversation. Because, like, I remember a pastor stating that creating a space where even your kids have that conversation, where even if it's hard to hear sometimes as a parent, but you want to receive it because you know ultimately that's where the change comes in.
True. Yeah.
And I think even if you had a conversation, it may be something to make you want to go cry in the car. But at least they were comfortable enough to tell you. And I think you have to create that space in every relationship in your life, bro. Even, romantically, you have to have that. And some of that stuff hurts. But that's transparency and that's honesty. And if you can take it and truly implement it, that's when the change is going to come. And then even when you have your partner, whatever relationship you in, I think you'll get a better partner. because they feel like now I'm able to be heard, and I'm able to be heard in difficult spaces. Because honestly speaking, that's both of us, even this podcast. Shit, everything about you ain't great. Everything about me ain't great.
Yeah.
We got our own flaws. But can I listen there and understand, like, hey, man, this is my brother on this journey to change things. This ain't nothing personal. He's just telling me how he feel about something. And I'm going to take that and implement that and receive that. So I think as people, I think the takeaway, one of them I want everybody to take this is, create an environment with your partner, whatever relationship, whether parent, relationship, romantic relationship, business relationship, whatever it is, overly emphasize an environment to where you have that difficult conversation. Overly emphasize that. Because that's where the growth comes, bro. And that's where the change comes.
I absolutely agree with that, right? But I think, again, I always like to say I think, right? Because this is our opinions. I think that not only do you have to create the space where the difficult conversations are welcomed, but sometimes you got to be willing to start those difficult conversations and have enough empathy to where you don't land on the flaw of the other person for not starting that conversation.
Yeah.
Because, and this is just what I truly believe, I think that as to whom much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
And what you're given is not only applied to physical resources or your money level and all that, it's also to your level of understanding.
Yeah.
So as you have a different level of understanding, then you also are required to show more empathy, right?
Yeah.
You're also required to deal with people in a certain space to where, okay, I created the space for difficult conversations, but it doesn't just mean I sit and wait for people to bring those difficult conversations. It also means that I'm also obligated. When I say I'm creating a space or creating a container, I'm inviting people into this space of difficult conversations. And I'm not holding them in a certain light for not starting that. I just recognize that, okay, this may not be your area.
Yeah.
This may not be your strength.
Yeah.
But because I value these conversations, and ultimately I think that right there, that framework right there, that frame of mind ultimately takes us to another place in all of our relationships. Because now we're able to apply a certain level of empathy, to people, right? Now we're able to deal with them with this measure of empathy in such a way that we don't, how do I say this? We provide true forgiveness for their flaws and mistakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you really have created a space for difficult conversations, right? Because now you're saying to that person, I recognize this may not be your thing, but I'm also going to guide you through that process. Or I'm going to invite you into the process in a way that this becomes your thing. You become comfortable with this. You get more experience and practice in this particular thing.
But see, too, you become more comfortable because of how I handle it.
That's a fact.
And I think we have to learn, too, how to receive that conversation.
Yeah.
And absolutely. I can't get angry. I'd say, whatever way you find to cope with inside, like,
that's a fact.
Okay, I'm taking this. I may be boiling inside, but I got to take this because he or she is opening up to me.
That's a fact.
To share something with me. And if I truly want to be a great partner to them, I got to receive that. And I got to learn self-control to understand, okay, let me not lash out. Let me just really be quiet, take this in, and really receive it. Because one thing about the difficult conversation, when you don't have it, resentment comes. Because I'm having that conversation. It might not be with you, but I'm having it inside of me.
Yeah.
And if I'm having it inside of me without you, resentment is growing towards you.
That's fact.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I say create an environment to eliminate the resentment, because resentment starts to spill over in so many other areas.
Yeah.
Because like me and you talked about even this week, now you ain't answering phone calls. I ain't responding to you because I'm mad and you don't even know why I'm mad. But if we create an environment where we can communicate about anything, we ain't having that resentment now.
It is what it is.
Because when I'm mad with you or you mad with me, I'm telling you how I feel about certain things.
Yeah.
And I'm checking you to say, hey, bro, I ain't really like this. I feel this type of way about this. So now you can make the adjustment if you choose to and I put it off of me. So now I've kind of freed myself. I'm gonna say from slavery. I freed myself from a level of bondage to say it's off me now. I put it on them to let them know how I feel. Now it's on them what they do.
You know what though, and I think ultimately that's a great space to be in, because the reality is that I'm not carrying the burden of dealing with it, but not only have I invited that person in the conversation, I've invited them to determine what next steps are and to determine how we move forward, right? Because I told you my expectation, right? If you do that, I've made my expectation clear. How you respond ultimately reflects the value you place on this relationship, or this partnership, or whatever case may be, right? So I know then if you respond in a way that looks like self-correction, self-examination, you take it, truthfully and decide you want to move forward, then I know the value you place on it. But if you shrug it off and do it again over and over again, then I know exactly, okay, I know what I need to do for me. I know that I need to just put this down and move on. I don't need to put no grudge on. I don't need to put no negative energy around it. I just need to pick up, take my stuff, and ride on into the sunset. Because it's a done deal. And so ultimately, I think that carries us into like kind of another space we were in, right? We were talking about what happens when you put honest people around you. What happens when you put your accountability team around you, your accountability partners, or your people that you really find inspiration or value in their opinions. How do you lean into your support systems? You know what I mean? When you make these bad calls, these mistakes, you act out this bad judgment. How do you really and truly lean in? Because I'm going to tell you, ultimately, when you find value in what a person believes, when they tell you the truth, it don't always feel like it. It don't always feel good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like at times it could be, for anybody who's ever done, massages or acupuncture or anything, the initial is a hurt.
Yeah.
But the after or the long term is this release of this pain, or this kind of freeing feeling that you really are so glad you went through that initial hurt. Right? And so ultimately that's how I equate leaning into your support systems. But what your thoughts around how do you lean into your support systems?
You got to lean in your support system. First of all, being honest. See, sometimes people lean in their support system, telling the side that makes them seem like the victim.
Telling the side they want the other person to hear. Yeah, that's a fact.
I want you to sympathize with me.
That's good. Yeah.
That's how you got to lean into it with the truth.
Yeah.
Tell everything of it.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly, bro.
Yeah.
Because if I did something to you and I'm only telling you from the victim standpoint, you probably gonna say something favorable for me. Yeah. Because I'm telling you, well, Charles, man, you know what? They did this to me. They did that. They cussed me out. They said they wish I died. Whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm saying, you like, damn, Nick, for real? But what I tell you, what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Because if you have a support system, a strength system, a strength circle, whatever you want to call them, you got to be honest with them. You know what I'm saying? And see, for me, I don't really want people in my circle that are yes men. I want you to tell me where I'm wrong. Because I think those accountability circles say, you know what, Charles? Bro, your wife right. You ain't handled that right, bro. And you like, damn, for real? Shit, I gotta go fix that, bro. Because I didn't. But if you only tell half the story, they fueling that bullshit fire.
Yeah.
They gassing that bullshit fire that you own.
Yeah.
Because you've only told them your side of the story. No, tell them everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what we have to do. Tell your circle everything, bro. And a real circle is gonna tell you, no, Charles, or no, Nick, you were wrong. You should have did it this way. I see why they did that to you. Because of this. So I think part of that too is we have to start off by taking ownership and being honest, man.
Man, listen. You just said, shout out to them two folks there, man. That's $1 million worth of game. That's $1 million worth of game, man. The honesty. Shout out to the two of them, because I think it's really, really easy to say, I just want to be supported in what I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell this part of it because I know it's going to generate this level of support.
Yeah.
It's really, really easy to do that, but at the end of the day.
Because the thing is, hold on. If I'm with you,
yeah,
I'm with you. If I was your partner before you even got married, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Even when I tell you wrong, bro, I'm still with you. I'm riding with you wrong.
I'm just telling you that was wrong.
Bro, I'm telling you wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? See, and
Yeah.
that's what we don't have. We don't have people to hold us accountable. You need that, bro.
You gotta have that.
Yeah.
You gotta have it. Cause it's almost the same thing as living in the space of the assumption. You really living only by your mind. You done convince yourself up here you wrong. And then ultimately you live in there. You live in there.
And see, I gotta even jump in ship. I got a partner now who currently going through something. He's dealing with something, and the other person has accountability system. But whenever they say something that other person does not want to hear, they get on that block list. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not saying something favorable for me.
Oh, you ain't with me.
Yeah.
Block.
And that ain't right, bro. Because sometimes when we're in situations, those family members, those mutual friends, they mend a lot of those fences, because sometimes I'm sitting here in my particular space thinking this, you're thinking this. But they've talked to both of us and say, okay, nah, he don't really feel like how you think he feel, or she don't really feel like how you feel. They fix things. But we have to be in a space to receive that again. But sometimes, again, we create our own things up here, and that's what we roll with.
Man, that accountability space, right? That leaning into that support system. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. We can't be so much up here or so caught up in wanting to feel good here that we block off the truth.
Yeah.
We block the truth. I think that's a perfect analogy. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it back a step though, in terms of creating that space for that difficult conversation. We must, like, I like the analogy, especially about your kids, because I was just telling you a story offline in terms of I felt really good as a father this week in a win that I had with my son, my 9-year-old son. Shout out to Blake, right? I got Blake to just tell me the truth about something simply by saying, I just want to hear the truth. I listen. I don't have any desire to deliver a consequence and have you suffer a consequence. I literally just want to rejoice or enjoy you telling me the truth. And he gave me the truth with nothing else. He gave me the truth. And I had to respect that and reward him by just saying, okay, how you handle that was not right. I expect differently from you. This is what it should look like. And the next time I want you to be honest enough and just tell me when you do something. Right? Because ultimately that ties back into our accountability and our support systems. We should intentionally create a space to where we invite the truth from our support systems. And the way that we create that space is not by chopping people up, is when they tell us the truth. Not by cutting them off and blocking them when they tell us the truth, but ultimately thanking them, hearing what they have to say, sitting on it, living with that truth, and then coming back to them to say, you know what, man, I appreciate you for holding me down. I appreciate you for telling me the truth. You know what I mean? My value in our relationship is that we tell the truth to one another, right? And that's ultimately how we create the space, and we are able to do that. That's ultimately how we are able to create that space.
It's definitely true.
Man, it's a powerful thing. You know what I mean? I look at it all the time in pop culture. People are in this space where, people get divorces, people have feuds, and they have all these different things because they didn't talk to one another.
But that's, man, that's crazy you said that. It's been so many times, even in my life, things could have been just fixed by a simple conversation. And it's like, we don't even have that conversation. Because, and it's like, like even Cole says, pride is the devil. I'm standing on my horse, you standing on your high horse. I ain't coming down to talk to you. You ain't coming down to talk to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, like, pride is the devil. I think you got a hold on me. And it's been so many times, even relationships, even my personal life, I've lost, and then you look back and you talk years later or months later, it was just a simple misunderstanding. But that was a relationship you really enjoyed. You really valued that space. But pride intervened and fucked it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's no room, and I think when you truly appreciate that relationship, or love that person, or love even that space, you know what I'm saying? That's, pride has to get put to the side. Because pride is going to destroy us every time, bro. And some of the things, too, you have to find a way in difficult moments to see the bigger picture. Even like we talking about business-wise, romantically, family-wise, What is the bigger picture?
Mm.
But we let pride take over everything. And then sometimes we do things in moments that cause a lifetime of pain or a lifetime of separation. And I remember saying this years ago to somebody. I said, man, I got people in my life, man, I love to death. But I would never speak to again. But I'd do anything for them. And I was like, wow. And me and one of my partners, we fell out some years ago behind something like that because it was just pride and stubbornness, bro. And finally, when we sat down and talked, it was the stupidest shit ever, man. You know what I'm saying? It was stupid, but again, he felt how he felt, I felt how I felt.
Yeah.
And we did the worst thing, like we talked about. We let time get in between that. So we just grew like, oh, I ain't gonna talk to him. That turned to a week, a month, 2 months, 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pride.
But you know what though? Here's two things that I want people to kind of take away from this whole, not just this conversation, but the process in and of itself. It's kind of two things I think that I would share with anybody, right? And it's that all things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that I always think it's really, really important for us to be in a space that nothing just happens. Nothing just happens. All things happen for a reason. I think that gives true meaning, not just to our everyday experiences, but it also causes us to reflect. It really shows us the value in reflecting on our days, our decisions, how we handle certain things. All things happen for a reason. Nothing just happened.
Yeah.
Right? That's the first thing. The second thing that I think more than anything is when we talk about all these different things, how we handle these scenarios, is that as long as we got breath in our body, there's an opportunity to reflect on our decision making, what we've done, and there's a chance to fix these things, right? Because I think so many times we make mistakes and we leave them there. We just say, oh, you know what? I know I was wrong, but it's left. No, that ain't really the case, right? And it's not to spin this too far, but if you look at it like a sin, if you will, I just did that and I left it there, you'll never seek to fix it so that you don't do that again.
Yeah.
But if you look at it like an error or mistake, now you got a different approach and a different lens on it to where you saying to yourself, you know what, man, let me look at this. Let me figure out what I did wrong. You know what, this was what I should have did. This is how I should have handled it. This is how I should have communicated, right? If you look at it like a mistake. And the easiest analogy is if you look at it like just your character flaw and leave it there, you'll never correct it. But if you look at it like a mistake, it's the same way as somebody being in the kitchen baking something. You know what I'm saying? They might bake a cake the first time, it come out terrible. What they gonna do when that cake come out the oven? They gonna start with that recipe. They gonna say, I said a little flour, eggs, some sugar, pinch of salt. Oh, I left out the pinch of salt.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you gonna do if you look at it like truly a mistake and an error. You're gonna take yourself back through the process and say, you know what? This is what I should have done differently. This is how I move forward with this. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? But ultimately, you relieve yourself from that guilt. You seek to really and truly fix it. And you just ultimately create a better version of yourself.
Yeah. But a better, like you said, I think the key thing is the better version of yourself is taking accountability for your actions.
Yeah, that's true. That's facts. That's the first step.
I think that's the first step.
It's like, hey.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't handle this right.
Yeah.
And I tell people, even like in those moments, see, I always try to remove myself. That's one of my bad things, bro. Like, in the moments where I don't know how it's going to go, I just kind of okay, let me just do nothing. You know what I'm saying? All else fails, just sit still for a minute.
Yeah.
Just sit still. Because can't nobody say you did something wrong or right. You didn't do nothing. Because I want to sort through things. Because, again, even in that space, I'm sorry I don't really fix everything.
Nothing. It fixes nothing. I'm gonna be honest. It fixes nothing. It fixes nothing. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Coach Mike, man. I don't really accept I'm sorry from grown people. You know what I'm saying? It fixes nothing. Let's call it a spade. It fixes nothing. It just you acknowledge you did something wrong is better than saying I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry just means, listen, I'm sorry you feel that way. That's all it really means.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that's how you feel about it. It fixes nothing.
Yeah.
All right, we over there. Go ahead. My bad.
No, you good, bro. You good.
Listen, I'm just telling you the truth.
Yeah.
I apologize and I'm sorry fixes nothing. It has to have more substance to it to really have a meaning.
Yeah.
It really has to
definitely does.
have. I didn't. This is what I'm sorry should really sound like. Shout out to all my fellas out there. Let me just give you game.
No, here
I'm
we go. Here
sorry.
we go.
Here we go. And listen, if y'all disagree, correct me. Let me know in the comments when you watch the episode. You feel me? At any rate, don't just leave it at I'm sorry. It should be more like I would never do anything to intentionally leave you feeling this way. Here is what I should have done, and here is the error that I recognize in my actions. To me, that's more valuable than I'm sorry.
But you,
I'm sorry is just,
yeah,
hey, I'm
yeah,
sorry you feel that way.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm sorry. That don't mean nothing.
Well, I'm sorry even for us as men is that you have to put a handle on the action.
Facts. Yeah.
There's got to be a handle to put in action.
Yeah.
Because by me telling you I'm sorry, I have to acknowledge what I did.
Facts.
Because see, sorry is just so vague.
It is.
I'm sorry. What the hell are we sorry for?
Yeah.
But see, we talk about for men, for women, hell, just learn to say I'm sorry. Don't just do something nice for me because you don't want to say I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Oh, because I mean that's the issue too. Because brothers hate that too. Now you see.
But hey, we're going down the rabbit hole. It depends on what your I'm sorry is. It depends on how you apologize.
No, but I'm sorry can't be.
I ain't lying.
I'm sorry can't be. Hey, the thing you like. Hey, I'm gonna do that because I'm sorry.
I don't know. Listen, in the moment,
but
if that's your I'm sorry,
but bro. You know what?
Hey, we're gonna have to agree to disagree right there because I'm just telling you.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. But it's like, damn.
Yeah. Cause
we ever get I'm sorry?
Yeah. We understand that there are younger people watch the podcast,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
This podcast is also viewed in some classrooms, right? Because we seek to provide understanding and father figures to some young people. So we won't be as graphic. But let me tell you something. If you're in a relationship and I'm sorry it comes in different forms and fashions. Sometimes I'm sorry it's fresh out the shower. It's different. You feel me? So hey,
but just say you're sorry.
But the in-depth understanding in that too is also that plays into a level of what your love language is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Some people's love language is that touch. Some people's love language is that quality time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it also has a different level of understanding. Ultimately, right? I think ultimately what we're saying is that people who are in relationships, partnerships, business ventures together, ultimately what we talked about today is something we've said before, framing out what you find valuable in your partnership.
Yeah.
Right? There's no general paintbrush that can be applied to all partnerships, relationships, whatever the case may be. It has to be based on what I place value in, based on what you place value in. Here are our operating rules. Here are our standard operating procedures. Here are our operating guidelines.
But see, again, communication.
That's
because even if it's like two people in a romantic space, even me and you like this podcast space, two different walks of life, two different places in our life.
Yeah.
Two different life experiences.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to marry those two. But again, that goes into communication.
Facts.
And a lot of people just don't have communication. You have to have communication again. Good times, bad times. Just talk about a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. How you feel about this? How you feel about that? You got to know that to understand that person. But again, one of the key lessons we've touched on several times, a partnership is kind of like that playbook. You got to study that. But you got to want to understand that. You got to want to understand. You got to seek to understand that. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about you're in a romantic space, that got to become your daily study, bro. Because that playbook is forever changing. But the other person has to communicate that change to you too. So you can understand how to make adjustments.
Yeah.
So I think, again, it's all going to go back to communication and the environment you create for that communication. I'm going to always overly emphasize the difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Because everybody can have the good one. Can we have the difficult one? And truly embrace the difficult conversation and encourage the difficult conversation and learn how to remove our feelings from that conversation and truly listen with the ear of, how can I better serve this other person? What are they saying? Because sometimes in that communication through that difficult, that's a cry for help too.
Facts.
But I got to be in a space to listen to and remove my feelings, my ego, my hurt or whatever from that situation.
Man. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, man, listen, it was so much said within this space, right?
It was so much, yeah.
It was so much said within this space.
Yeah.
But to your last point, it just comes back to that communication. And again, I think the thing that we downplay communication, we always lean towards the talking part. A therapist said something to me earlier this week, right? We were talking about how we could deal with a certain situation with a group of people, and their advice was it should be 60% listening, 40% talking. And I was like, damn, you know what? That's a good rule of thumb moving forward. From my approach, if I would go into any situation 60% listening, 40% speaking, one, I'm listening more than I speak. But two, I'm getting that additional 20% information so that when I speak, I'm well informed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've heard everything that was meant for me to hear. And then I've taken that, processed it, and then I've said what needs to be said and not just responded. See, because it was 50-50, it's almost like I'm just responding to what's being said.
Yeah.
But if it's 60% listening and 40% speaking, now I truly heard everything and I've just said what needs to be said and not just what I want to say or what I think the other person wants to hear.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good rule of thumb right there. If we take the relationships and we take communication in a rate of 60% listening and 40% speaking, that's a pretty good rule of thumb.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. I guess we got to close it out now.
So if we take our relationship in the space of 60% listening and 40% speaking, I think that's a great rule of thumb and a great space to be in with our communication.
I agree. Because I think a lot of times even when we talk about the communication, you're listening to respond. You ain't listening to hear and to take in something.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm saying? So I think you gave a perfect closing with that, bro. You probably need to say it one more time just for the people in the back.
Hey, what they say? Message. A good framework for communication, right? Given to me by a therapist is that we should be in a space when we're communicating with somebody, we should be in a frame of mind that we're going to listen for 60% and speak for 40%. Meaning we're not trying to match our words with what they said. We literally are trying to respond in a way that's impactful and that in a way that shows and authentically that we've heard everything what that was stated. 60% listening, 40% speaking. Hey man, it's been another amazing episode with the Firm Podcast. Y'all already know how we coming. Listen, y'all tune in, continue to watch the episodes. Check out any episodes that you may have missed. And until next time, you already know we got Nick, we got Charles. That's a wrap.